just saw this where there was a report yesterday that came out that ranked the NFL coaches in the league going into 2025. And in this, it stated that head coach Brian Callahan was the worst NFL coach going into the season in 2025. So, Jacques,
Yes,
hearing that, knowing what you know, tell me what are your thoughts, man, about that?
To rank him as the worst head coach to me is wild, and I understand why they're doing it because we had the number one pick. But to me, there were other head coaches in the league that I can really question and be like, okay, he's the worst head coach or he's the worst head coach. Matter of fact, you don't happen to have a list of head coaches that got fired, right? I don't know if you had a list. Okay, yeah, you're fine. But to say he's the worst head coach in the league, no, that's debatable. And what I mean by debatable, yes, we have the number one pick because that's what everybody's going to say. You have the number one pick. You're the worst team in the league. Da 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 da. It's a reason why you're worst team in the league. First year, and I give a little grace to first year head coaches because technically it's your first year. Technically, what tends to happen, you come in to that program, and I just use football as an example out of the way. You come into a new program, you trying to build a culture, you try to build a staff, right? Because sometimes you try, if you already have a staff built out that you know that you already knew you was getting a head coaching job, is easier. But if you don't know, you're trying to build your staff. Then as you're building your staff, you're implementing your playbook, the way you want to do things, how things are going. So it's hard to come in year one and say, oh, man, we're going to win a Super Bowl or we're going to win a natty, right? It's hard to come in and say, hey, we're going to do this. We have a goal, right? Also, I'm going to add to this, Hulk. You have carryover players that are not even your players, right? So at that point, it's like, okay, hey, what do we do? What I have to work with is what I have to work with. So what Callahan had to work with is what he had to work with, right? I think the biggest caveat with this is the reason why the Titans were bad is quarterback play. Alone, quarterback play lost us 4 games, man, right? The defense was playing their heart out. They were the number one defense for what I'm about to say, all the way up to week 8, maybe? I think it was week 8, and then they kind of trickled down and whatnot. But we haven't had a number one defense in a minute. So to say he's the worst head coach in the league going into this season, on paper, because he got the number one pick, yeah. But in my opinion, no, he's not the worst head coach out there, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. I mean,